Hello and welcome. I'm Astrid from the Plone marketing team, and this is another recording for World Plone Day 2026, taking place on the 16th of April 26. Welcome to everybody tuning in and watching this video. Today with me, I have two Plone people from Kombinat. I have Peter Mathis and Alexander Sonderegger. Hi, Alex and Peter.
Hey. Hi, everyone.
Maybe if you want to introduce yourselves.
Sure. Well, I'm Peter. I'm mostly known in the community as Pechki. Since this year's, I'm the team lead of the Classic UI team, and I am Plonista since 2004. That was the first contact to Plone. And since we are celebrating our 25th company jubilee anniversary, so we thought we make some recordings for the Plone community and for Plone Day. And this next to me is my colleague Alexander. I'm basically for the program Plone, and he is for the designing and for the marketing things responsible.
I think it's very apt that the bells are ringing in the background. If you can maybe explain which church it is and
just a few words about me. Hi, I'm Alex Sonderegger. We founded Kombinat 25 years ago. That's the fun fact, I think, of the interview or of the talk today, because 25 years in Plone, 25 years Kombinat. We are sitting here in Austria, very close to Switzerland and Germany. Some guys maybe knows Lake of Constance. We're here close to, in between Feldkirch and Bregenz, next to the church. That's why probably you hear the ring belling in the background. We are small, nice, let's say, we make handmade, nice, good working, good designed websites. That's our main focus we are working in. We are an advertising company, but 80% of our work is building nice and functional websites, hopefully with Plone.
Oh, fantastic. No, those bells really rang in the message very nicely there. The timing was perfect. I don't know if you organized it beforehand, but it worked very well.
It was very hard to organize beforehand.
Yeah, as you said, Plone is also 25 years old this year, so it's a very auspicious, that, to use that very large word, that Kombinat is now also celebrating 25 years of existing. So congratulations on that. That's a silver anniversary, I think.
Thanks. Yes.
Maybe you can explain a little bit how your company started. Think back 25 years, maybe a little bit less gray in the beard. What was the situation? How did it start?
So this was at the time we were studying together. So we also studied media design in a local high school here in Austria. And during our study, we gained experience in working with projects, working with web projects. That was in the late 90s. And so after studying and after graduation, we thought, hey, why not start a company with that? And as we were very young at that time, we thought it was a good idea. And actually now I think it was the best idea in my life. But at the time then we were 4 people from the university, which all together studied, and we started this company with 4 people. Today we are 3 people, so the other one left. But this company was at that time a startup in web design and web programming, and we did that right after studying our our media design.
And it
So
was
you've never.
the hard thing in the beginning, I think it was every project was totally new. It began from scratch on a white paper, and we built content management systems for every project totally from new. There was no tool, Peter made it with PHP and MySQL from the beginning.
So that was the beginning. Yeah, we programmed everything on our own, and we checked several tools and tried tools which were at that time out there. So there was WordPress was also in the beginning, but not really at that point which we wanted to have it. So, well, my background before I studied media design, I started programming in college, and this was my background. So I knew how to program stuff, and that's what I always liked to do, and brought that knowledge to the web content management system world, which then at the very beginning led to our own self-programmed content management system. But soon we realized that we need to have more people to work on a project, more power in programming some such systems. And that's why we came to the open source, thinking of open source community, which could help us as a small company to search for a tool which we can use to realize such projects.
So that you didn't have to build a fresh CMS for every client, as you said, that you could work together.
And we do not have to reinvent everything from our own, because there were starting many projects at that time, and everything was really exciting and promising. But well, here at Austria, in western part of Austria, there is an open source community, an open source how's it called, association, and they organize meetings, and we went to those meetings, and we got to know many tools, and one of those tools was Plone.
That was in 2003 or 4, I'm not sure. I think 3.
At the time of 2003, yes. And that was basically the first contact to an open source community and to an open source product like Plone is.
Okay.
And for me as a programmer, that was really a relieving moment, because I realized there are many people out there which basically need to do the same and need to realize projects which we need to realize. And if we work together and share our knowledge together, it begins to grow in a very good direction. And that's why I intensified my contact with the Plone people, and also started to create Plone projects with Plone 2.0 at that time.
It sounds like you were perfectly qualified for that space, having done some programming and then also putting the design on top of it, in combination with the design from Alex, to then be in that perfect space to be able to grab Plone and also help run with it.
Yes, it was our main focus was on customizing the design as much as we can, because we have usability interfaces studied in our university, and we knew we had ideas. We want to make front ends which look good and which are really down to the focus of the function. And so we needed a tool which we could basically adjust every wheel we want to have it, where we want to have it, where we want to be. And well, maybe that's why the reason we all started from scratch every project, because we had every project, we had new ideas what could happen there. And I said, oh, okay, we didn't program that yet, so I have to program it from scratch now. But well, the basic content management functionalities were they were the users got to know how to work with a website and how to edit websites with a WYSIWYG editor and stuff like that. And those projects are really big, and you cannot program a WYSIWYG editor on your own, that's for sure.
Or roles
and permissions and user logins and stuff like that. And there were tools which provided those functionalities for us. And Plone, especially, what I really liked about Plone is that I had my it was a hard learning curve. That's the first thing at that time. But due to my programming background, I got to know the complete package. So with the SOAP server and with the content management system Plone, which is above of the SOAP server, and all those strategies of SOAP and Plone, and all the wheels we wanted to change and all the things we wanted to customize inside there, we started to create projects with Plone, and I really liked it from the start, from the beginning on.
Yes, it sounds like you then found Plone to be a very good foundation on which you could then sell the skills and the products that you're creating at Kombinat. So Plone would give you that basis on which you could build the, shall I say, the value add that you give to your clients.
Yes, exactly.
That you and Alex and the rest of your team bring. Maybe on that note, we can look at some of your Plone highs. What are your best practices? Some highlights that along this journey of Plone. You've seen Plone almost born and grow up. Are there some best practices and some highlights that you'd like to share?
Yes, we soon realized that Plone was a really good tool to make not only small web pages, but also from the security perspective, to make websites which you can have many users, and you have fine-grained permission settings, and you can lead different redactional teams, and you can build really big stuff. And we were in the, well, we had the opportunity to realize the web portal for our local communities. There were about 9 communities, and they said, okay, we want to join our forces, and we want to make this web portal for us, for every community. Every community has its own logo and its own color scheme, but basically we want the functionality from one system, and that's where Plone exactly fitted 100%, because we started with the subsiting systems. So we had one Plone installation and made several subsites for each community. We had users for each community, and we could separate the permissions exactly like we wanted to. And that was really, really a great moment where we used Plone and where we could realize this project with Plone. I couldn't think of any other tool at that time which we could realize that in that size with a likely small team, which we are. So yeah, that was a really great opportunity for us to create this project with Plone.
Okay, so the power that Plone has, that it can give you to be able to handle something and that you can scale.
Scalability. The scalability.
Yes.
And as well as being stable and scalable.
It was security, and it was scalability, and it was also community. So the community is the third part of the whole tool thing, which basically me helped a lot as a programmer, the only programmer in our team. But I need to share knowledge. I need to get knowledge. I want to bring in my knowledge in a team with people who are doing the same like I do. And this was really the Plone community was really helping us.
let's talk about that a bit. How has your involvement been over the years? Which conferences have you attended? Which teams are you on? What's some of the memories that you have with this community, the community part of things?
Yes, well, as I've mentioned before, we got to know Plone through our local open source community here. And there was a Plonista in Vorarlberg. He's called Jonok Batlok, and he was maybe the first one who made Plone projects here in Vorarlberg. And he had a talk at an event, and we were at that event. And after that, we talked to him and said, "Hey, this looked pretty cool. Can you show us some things?" And he was very, "Yes, of course, I can come to your office. I show you everything, and this is so cool."
He was very enthusiastic.
He was very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I think in the third sentence he said, "And there is a conference in Vienna, and you have to come to this conference. And if you do not come to this conference, I'm very disappointed."
Mm-hmm.
So I packed my bags and I went to the first conference in Vienna in 2004 and got to know, saw a bigger picture of the Plone community and how the people from overseas or from all over the world worked with that. And this was really cool to see. And everybody was friendly and enthusiastic.
Nice.
And we were new to that, and they said, "Hey, no problem. Sure, if you ever have a question, feel free to ask me." And this was very open and not only open source, but open-minded and open-hearted. So we felt very welcome at the very first beginning.
And from there, I think we've been to many, I think every year to a sprint or to a conference.
There were many conferences.
Budapest,
at least every conference in Europe. And my last conference was in Brazil 2 years ago. And it's also every time it's very nice to meet the community and to see how they work and share their knowledge.
Absolutely, yes. That's something I've also experienced. I just want to know, will you be in Maastricht this year? Our conference this year, for the people watching, is in the Plone conference is in Maastricht in September. Are you planning to come?
I will be there, definitely. Yes, I'm not sure about that.
Fantastic. And are you bringing cake so that we can celebrate your Kombinat birthday properly?
Promised. We will bring a Kombinat 25 years.
When is it? In
this end of September.
End of September. Will it be a Austrian tartar? I'm just locking it in now. Chocolate?
Linzertorte.
We have many. Austrians are very sweet, so we have many cakes.
I know.
And I will try to bring a good cake for the 25th anniversary.
I look forward to it. Also being there and seeing you again and celebrating it with you and with Plone. Actually, on that note, maybe Plone should have a cake too, if it's 25 years Plone. I will speak to the organizers.
Cool.
Are there any lows with Plone?
Lows with Plone, yes, maybe. I mean, it was a hard time to get to learn Plone from scratch. And as I've said, we are small teams, and I'm the only programmer. And the first few weeks, there was pretty much a big mountain in front of me, and I didn't know which path I should go. There were many paths, and you walked along, and then it was a dead end, and you said, "Oh my God!" But it wasn't. No, I cannot say it was a low. It was in how can I say that? I should get out to I had to get out to the community and talk to them and realize that there are you cannot do this on your own and cannot realize it as a one person, and it helps you very much if you go out to the other people and to the community, and they will show you how to do it, and maybe you'll get other inputs and other concepts from the community also. So you're always thinking in those kind of drawers, and if you have some other input you get out of that, we say Scheuklappen in Deutsch, but yes, that was maybe. And we also had a time where we had some employees. We had 1 or 2 programming employees, and I had quite an interesting time to get them into Plone. And they weren't really aware of CMS, content management systems. They knew how to program, but they didn't know the content management part. And maybe at that time, I have to say, at that time, it was 20 years ago, Plone was pretty hard to learn. So you had some hard time to get new people into Plone.
Yes,
but that's documentation projects and due to the new versions that got pretty much better in nowadays.
Probably
I've heard it. Sorry, yes.
Probably the big migration from 3 to 4 was a little bit hard. Probably
migration projects, they were also always really hard. And here goes big shout out to Philip Bauer because of his export-import product. And since this product exists, migration isn't any problem anymore. So we are migrating from 4 to 6 without any headaches and any sleepless nights.
Thank goodness for Mr. Migration.
Yes. Extra cake for him.
Yes. Yes. Or shall we say Dr. Migration?
Dr. Migration.
Yes, just from my side, also my thoughts about the sometimes steep climb into Plone. I've heard it say that it was never meant to be easy for the developers. It's meant to be easy for the editors, but it is something that I think has created a bit of friction. But as we hear more and more, maybe we need a bit of friction in our lives to actually learn something properly. And it could be that it is also be seen as an advantage, because if you can get into something that easily, that means that it's maybe not so secure. So if the hurdle to get into something is a bit more difficult, it means that security is really the first priority there. And I think Plone does that very well. So it might be, how shall I say, worth the effort.
Yes, absolutely.
Which you and your employees then experienced firsthand is that it takes a little bit of hard work.
Yes, absolutely. There are many other tools which make it a little bit easier to create projects, but then you start making things which aren't that either nice or either secure, and you implement that, and then you have maybe at some time you have a big security hole which gets hacked sometimes. And I've never had such experience with Plone. So you need to learn more stuff about security, but it is worth the effort, as you said, in the long run.
Absolutely. And Alex, has that also been your experience? You probably haven't been as involved on the coding side, but designing in the Plone environment. Anything there you'd like to add?
I'm not just only working in Plone. I also use other tools, but in my opinion, for the user, it's not the most important, the tool, it's the solution. He needs to have a nice solution. And Plone, for me, as we say, most advantage or most pro for Plone is scalability and security, and that's the point for bigger projects. We use it most of the time. We use it for really big projects, not for very small websites. Then we use other tools. Okay. But for big and scalable and very functional APIs and other APIs for other systems, then we use Plone. Then it's very nice. And for designing, we can design everything with I make a design with Figma or anything else, and then we can build everything.
Are there any interesting and impressive client projects that you'd like to highlight? It sounds like you are alluding to specific large projects. Is there anything you can share with us? I know some of the Plone clients are often in a space where security is such a huge issue that the providers can't always mention who they are actually doing the work for, but maybe you have some client case studies, some interesting clients that you have at the moment or have had in the past that you'd like to share from a design and a Plone infrastructure point of view?
Probably you, Astrid.
Well, there was there is still a big financial website which provides financial analytics for you. So we had the problem that we have to get data from data sources like MSCI or like Clipper or financial data, and we should calculate with this data. We should calculate charts and reports for different users, and the users should be able to log into a website and create reports for those financial data. And well, at that time we said we use Plone for that. So we have our user spaces and we can collect the data via several APIs. We save the data on our side and we create those reports either as HTML pages or either as PDFs, and with Python it's no problem to convert the HTML to PDF. And yeah, this was a very huge project because several Swiss banks used this tool and generated their SRI reports for their portfolios. And also others from all over the world generated their SRI portfolios, and they really got this analytics tool, which is from the permission perspective absolutely solid, because every user only has his own space and can create his own reports. And on the other hand, we also implemented some kind of payment stuff so that they can pay the reports which they render from the financial data. And well, this project is still running, and
for more than 10 or 15, I think 15 years.
At least for more than 15 years now. It's still on Plone 4. So this is for the community, a fun fact. But we are really trying to bring this, as it's still running, and as we said, since 15 years, and we're really trying to put effort in this to bring it to the newest versions. And it was fun to realize that with Plone, because basically there was no time where I had the feeling, okay, this is something I cannot realize with Plone. So
okay,
everything.
It sounds like you've used Plone for some really heavy lifting with that project.
Yes, that was really a large project, and there were also
it is.
Yes. There were also not only from the front end perspective calculations. There were then later backend calculations, so the user could put some files on the server, and some Plone services picked up those files and rendered the reports in the backend. You could get rendered PDFs back from the server and stuff like that. So not only front end tool, it was also a software as a service in the end.
Okay. Well, it sounds like something that would be quite interesting to have as a case study on plone.org. So I will contact you.
Yes, but I think there is already. I thought I.
But let's have an updated version.
Yes, let's have an update on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We're busy revamping plone.org. It will hopefully be live in the next few months. And the case study section, we're rethinking it a little bit so that we can also have our audiences find specific verticals, industry verticals, quite easily, and just showcase the use cases a little bit in a better way. But I think this would be something very interesting to showcase there. And you say it's still on Plone 4, still running stably on Plone 4, but you sound like you're in the process of maybe moving it to 6, which is, it's another little mountain to climb, but the view is good, I hear, from the top there.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any funny memories of your time, maybe at one of the conferences? I know there are many legends and stories that are shared. Some of them maybe you don't want to share in a public space, but fun things that you've done. I remember, at one of my conferences last year, we had a nice moment where we jumped in the lake in Jyväskylä, so maybe something like that.
Yes, conferences are always fun. So basically, there are, if you're meeting apart from the talks, and if you have dinner at night, and if you have the party at night, and
when you switch your trousers with
party pants is one of the
the trousers. I've heard of it. I've only heard of it.
Photos which are available for the public where Alex has his party pants switched with
I didn't know.
Are they your party pants?
Yes.
No, it's
no.
I'm not sure who
from Hungary. No.
I'm not sure if it was in Hungary.
I think nobody knows whose party pants they are.
At the conference, there are some party pants available to switch. So
that's fun.
That sounds fantastic.
Yes, sure. And sprint, and apart from the conference sprinting, I always like to attend sprints. So conference sprints are really good opportunity for not only programmers to get into touch with the community and with Plone, and to really bring things forward and make good things.
The next you
will have fun.
The next you will join, I think it's in Austria, or isn't it?
Yes, next sprint which I will join definitely is Bussenschank from Johannes in Styria. Okay. It's a very nice location. It's in the vineyards, and you need to concentrate on your work.
But the liquid refreshments are there, I'm sure. When is it? How many times have you attended? It sounds like something that has a bit of a history, that there's been more than one Bussenschank sprint.
Yes, it basically is my second Bussenschank, but Bussenschank has a long history. So there were, I think, in the year 2008 was the first Bussenschank, and Bussenschank is always a little bit of some topics are really blown off topic, but it's also interesting to see other people what they create with programming languages or other tools. And that was also a thing with Plone and with the community, that they are really open-minded, and they do not think we always have to realize that with that one tool. So there are many solutions out there which we can learn from, and at the sprints you always have the opportunity to see other things, and you can of course tackle down things which you want to bring forward, and or implement new stuff, or bring ideas in and stuff like that. And nobody ever told you that this idea is completely crap. Everybody thinks about it and says, hey, yes, maybe that could be cool. And maybe that's also the reason why Plone is there where it is now, because it has an active community and it has really nice front ends. Since I'm the Classic UI team lead, I think the Classic UI front is also very nice. But of course, Volto, it's a really big thing for Plone, and it brought it to the next level.
Excellent. Yes, I'm sorry, I won't be attending that sprint this year, but maybe one of the others. And it does look like it's a good time in a good place. I think it's at the end of May, and all the information is on plone.org. Yes, then I think I'm going to thank you for your time and for sharing your story with me and also with the Plone community. And congratulations again on the 25-year anniversary of your company. That is something to celebrate in these days where things tend to come and go. That longevity, it takes energy and hard work, and it's a special kind of stress keeping a business going. And I'd also like to say thank you to the Plone community for making it possible for companies like Kombinat to continue with Plone for all these years. None of the companies that use Plone can do it without the community, and we've spoken about the community a lot now. Plone is open source. It is open for ideas, as you said, and that is its that is its strength. As we say, Plone is an open source content management system built for people that value our community, trust, fun, security, and openness. And thank you also to the audience for watching. Please like and subscribe this video, as they say, and put any questions and remarks into the comments. I'm sure Alex and Peter will have a look and see if there is anything that you'd like to ask, and they can respond there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much. Thank you, and looking forward to seeing both of you in person soon. And happy World Plone Day.
Thank you, and happy World Plone Day.
Happy World.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.